show on the planet, and that is watching Chelsea FC implode, explode, just absolutely fall apart in every given sense. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, and Callum's at the wheel, mate.
You
What are we
laugh, you
saying?
laugh, you laugh so you don't cry, mate.
Oh, mate, you got to, haven't you? You got to,
You
absolutely.
have
I'm
to.
even wearing
You
red
have to.
today. Do you know what I mean? I'm even wearing red. That's how disconnected from Chelsea I feel right now.
Yeah.
So let's say hello to everyone. But first, obviously, Kai, how's it going, bro?
Yeah, man. Non-Chelsea related, spectacular. Chelsea
Yeah,
related. Well,
loving it.
I'm wearing black. Another funeral I'm going to, mate. Another
Yeah.
manager's funeral going to. Yeah, it's a mess. It is a mess, and that's to
I
put
think a
it
mess is
nicely,
quite
I
generous,
guess.
actually.
Yeah, it's generous,
Normally,
but
you can
oh
tidy
my
up a
god.
mess. Do you know what I mean? This is
Yeah,
like, right, let's have a
ain't
little
no
look through
broom fixing
everyone.
this.
All right, hello, big up Daniel Knight, big up CFC 2015i. Good to see you all back in the chat. It's been a little while. We haven't done one of these for a while. Me and Kai have been out of sync for a little while, but something big's happened, so obviously we've got to get back on camera for it, haven't we? Let's just have a little look through people's comments, and then we'll just launch into it. We'll start with Daniel Knight. Welcome back. Always a pleasure. When the next manager comes in, please don't give him a 6-year contract and give the next appointment 2 or 3 years contract, where the next appointment must be right. So interestingly, I agree with the sentiment 100%, but I had a chat with Jan from Football Therapy about this. The long contracts are indicative that they want people to stay for a long time, but we're not paying them out. Like, we haven't paid Liam Rosenior 6 years of contracts. Do you know what I mean? This is how they're doing
Mm.
these contracts. So the time is there, but we've got protection, so I'm not too worried about it. CFC 2015. I'll be honest, I want Xabi Alonso. Sorry, but I think he'd do a great job. We are going to get well into the list of who's on the table, who's available, who can we get, who would come at this point. But don't
Yeah,
worry, man, we're gonna
that
get
is
into
the real question. Who will actually come? Yeah,
it. I know, absolutely
PE
nightmare.
teacher.
Yes, Courtney. Yes, great. See you, man. Mate, it's been a minute. They said Roman sack managers too frequently. Yeah, this is getting a little bit wild. We'll dig into the nuance of it a little bit, because per capita, technically, Roman did sack managers more frequently, but the nuance is wild. And the thing is, what we're
Mm.
seeing is worse. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? What we're seeing
yeah.
is literally worse. And yes, Omar, what's up, man? What's up? Here for another I told you so. I'm ready for it, man. Bring it on, bring it on. So first, Liam Rosenior has been sacked. At the very least, we can all breathe a collective sigh of relief. I was literally, if you've watched my video from earlier, I was sat playing Crimson Desert, and I just had my phone next to me, and it pops off Fabi Rom X breaking. And he always makes it really dramatic, man. He's like, Chelsea, Liam Rosenior, no more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Kai, let's just catch up, man. Like, what's your initial reaction? Obviously, we both did reviews for the game yesterday and stuff as well, didn't we? But how'd you feel? What's going on?
Like, besides the fact that he should have never been appointed in the first place, it was a long time coming. It
Yeah,
was a long time coming. I don't like to get on sack the manager out kind of train,
yeah,
because at some point you've got to give somebody time.
mm,
But from the start of this appointment, I knew it was a downgrade. I knew it weren't going to work. There were some signs in some of the football that we're playing, but it was still so inconsistent.
yeah,
But it just got so untenable. It was, I mean, I don't even want to revisit the Brighton game of how bad. It was
so
like
upset.
nightmare worthy.
Yeah,
It was horrendous.
yeah, really bad.
He again, a very very small minute part of the problem, but he had to go. There was no way that he could stay in the job for the rest of the season. It was horrendous what was going on. So
Yeah,
not unexpected. It was
no,
just for me
it
took too long,
it was a writing
way
on the
too
wall
long.
moment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, it did take too long. And weirdly, I went through something similar with Enzo Maresca, right? Like, so I'm hopelessly positive. Like, that's kind of my thing. Do you know what I mean? Is I can see all the bad stuff that's happening in front of us, but I cling
Mm,
on to the fact that football is such an unpredictable beast in its very nature that you
yeah.
never know. One game can turn it all
Mm,
around. Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that. And when this happened with Maresca, my turning point was his comments in the Everton game. As soon as he said that, that was my turning point, and I was like, right, I think that's it. I think he's gone.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people really. No one really liked Maresca when he was here, but everyone loves him now he's gone. But for me, I was really supportive and really positive until he said that in the Everton game. And yesterday, for me, was the turning point. And I know, like, we've seen loads of bad results recently. Do you know what I mean? Of course, we have like PSG, Everton, Newcastle, the United clubs, Leeds. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's been loads and loads and loads of really bad results. But yesterday was the one where it compounded, because it was like after the two Manchester games, that was the opportunity to show some fight. And even if we didn't win the game, we didn't show any fight. And you could just see it, man, the deadness on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? The players not playing for the manager, not playing for each other. And I didn't even I saw a little. I didn't even really look into it, but I saw a little bit of his post presser. And he was like mad and angry, and he was like, "Oh," and for the started throwing, not in individually, but threw the players under the bus for the performance. And that was quite unusual for him as well, because he's normally Mr. like, suck the pressure up. So for me, like I say, it was 100% a writing on the wall moment. You are right. He should about all of it. He shouldn't have been hired in the first place. It was a massive gamble, and it was one that hasn't paid off. If not now, obviously when it has happened, what would have been the right moment to sack him, do you reckon?
Well, we've gone 9 games without a win. And I think it would have been the point where we started, you know what, maybe even back towards like the Arsenal or the PSG game, to be fair. I think that was the
second
moment.
PSG game, I think.
The second period, that was where you could tell he was clearly out of his depth. Clearly.
100%. Yeah.
Tactically, ideas, and then we had the international break, and you've got players coming out. Now, obviously, most of it, apart from the Enzo Fernandez thing, obviously aimed about where he wants to end up, but most of it was aimed towards the ownership and obviously the direction and the decisions being made. One of those decisions was bringing in Rosenior anyway. But you've got all your players speaking out. You're falling out with players every game. Every single game, you've got players brushing past him, not shaking his hand. How many players over the last 3-4 weeks have it's come out in the news? He's had to apologise to the players for the way that he acted. Fofana, there's so many players.
Even Jorgensen in the PSG game,
exactly.
Man, it's just been
ridiculous.
a real thing, hasn't it? And what that is sort of speaks to is clearly there was some bad juju behind the scenes, man, that we weren't seeing. Do you know what I mean? It's like, the last positive thing. Him. No.
Not in the slightest.
The last positive thing we heard was when Cole Palmer came out quite early on and was like, he gives us freedom and I love playing under Rosenior and that. But apart from that, even the few times, like, when Moises Caicedo signed his new deal, he didn't talk about how much he likes Rosenior. He just said, "We've got the manager here," or something like that. It was just like really deadpan, flat, vague statement. Do you know what I mean? Where it was just like absolutely awful. So it's obviously been going on for too long already. And look, it's not about giving props to the sporting directors or the ownership or whatever, but they have done the right thing eventually. I guess I was worried that there was a possibility they'd stick it out until the end of the season just to see. But what this at least says, I mean, I read out the club's official statement earlier. I found the wording quite interesting. They said there's still a lot to play for this season: European qualification and progress in the FA Cup. So they didn't specifically say winning the FA Cup. They said progress in the FA Cup. But at the end of and this is the truth, man. Like, let's get on to the next piece of news that is obviously relevant. Is Callum's at the wheel.
Look, in one sense, it's probably the best thing, because even he, I know he did it for 2 games, but it's like, I don't want it. I want to go back to the under-21s, because even he knows it ain't a place to be. But for now, I'd much rather that than bring in. Yeah, I'd rather that now than bring in just another panic coach.
Yeah. That was the big worry for me, is like, you can't do this at this point and make a snap decision about who comes in at the same time. So Callum McFarlane was the only choice, really. Do you know what I mean? There was really never going to be any other option. Just because he knows the players. And Daniel Knight actually said something in my comments that I love. It's like, get John Terry in. just for the last few games of the season.
You would be
do
better
you know what
off
I mean?
doing something like that, because obviously the players have had Callum for 2 games. But let's be real, the biggest thing and the problem is the players didn't respect Rosenior. He's won nothing. He's got no credentials.
No.
What does Callum have?
Mm-mm.
Nothing. Like you're replacing a like for like, and if
A
not
driver's license, just
even less experienced than Rosenior. Now
yeah,
I
yeah,
get it, because I don't want to see another panic thing, and God forbid they go and get Gary O'Neill.
yeah.
Like,
Oh no, they can't. They
I,
can't. They can't.
like you know that, but
It's
that's the kind of thing they could rush and do. Like
I
they
don't
could
think so,
rush
man.
it and just throw. So though we're probably gonna still have a very terrible end to the season. Like I
Yeah,
don't think it's
yeah,
gonna
100%.
get that much better. We may see a bit of fight from the players now that Liam's gone, because they clearly didn't like him, they weren't happy with him.
No.
But I don't expect to see any tactical masterclass or any massive change in the way that we play. There's a very good chance we go and lose to Leeds on the weekend. We might get a bit of a bounce, but
That's the thing. Is like
who
you kind of
knows?
said it just there. Like the only thing we can expect from the players that any better than what we've been seeing is fight now at the moment,
Yeah.
isn't it? And that is what we're going to have to ride for the next 5 games, which is
Mm.
literally we've got left in the rest of the season. Right, they are flooding in. So I'm going to come back a little bit and we're going to go through some of these comments and say hello to some people as well. Okay, so I'll try and whip through these reasonably quickly. Daniel Knight, can we talk about the sporting director needs to go first, as they need to be next to go, Matt? Look, it's just not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, not now. Do you know what I mean? Not now. I think the problem is a lot of planning has been done for the summer already, and changing Rosenior out is one thing, but changing that entire strategy, that puts us back in Todd Bowley situation where they're going to get some, it's a really difficult one. So look, I think that based on the next transfer window, I think is their last opportunity, to be completely honest, because we're not
Well, they
winning
say
the
that
next.
they review everything at the end of the season. So if heads
Yeah,
aren't rolling at
yeah,
the end of the
yeah,
season,
yeah.
what are they reviewing?
I think the truth of the fact is, man, like if we buy exciting players, regardless of whether they're good or not,
Yeah.
then it will be forgotten until the results get bad again. So I don't think we're going to see any big changes in the summer from the sporting director stuff. Do you know what I mean? I
Mm.
think it's just too much too soon. I don't think you can afford to change everything at the same time either, because then you've got everyone meeting each other, learning on the job again. Like, I think it could get worse. Do you know what I mean? It could get worse. And like I say, we could end up. You remember Todd Bowley was our de facto sporting director for his first
Mm.
season. Do you want Egbali doing that this season? Do you know what I mean? Like,
No,
no.
but if you bring in a more experienced head, they're not really going to need to learn on the job, are they?
Yeah,
Because
but we
it's
don't
just a
know
job in a
enough.
different club.
We don't know enough about how easy, we can talk about managers and we can talk about players
Mm.
because we understand how that works, but we don't know the mechanics behind going and getting a sporting director from somewhere. Where we go, do you know what I mean? So I think it's a bit more,
Mm.
unfortunately, a little bit more complicated than that. But, we'll see at the end of the day. It's obviously something that everyone is screaming at the moment. The sporting directors are an obvious problem, but I just think I think it might be too much too soon. Right, moving on to Omar. We need a proper manager, not a head coach. So the statement PRFC put out saying they're going to reflect and learn and bring stability to the head coaching position. No one gets managers anymore, man. That's just not a thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like even Pep Guardiola, who's like he's the holy grail of managers, but he's not. He self admittedly he's a head coach. Ruben Amorim tried to be a manager. It didn't work out because there's conflict with the club. You can't have a manager because we've got 6 sporting directors. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing, isn't it? What do you think about the manager, sporting head coach situation, Kai? But for me, it's like I think head coaches. It's not just about do we need one. I just think that's how it is in football now. Apart from very, very rare occasions like Simeone
Yeah, I mean,
Atletico.
to me, it's more on just the wording of it. At the end of the
Mm.
day, a head coach coaches the players. It needs to improve the players. A manager does the same thing. The only difference is the manager will have more say, you would hope, in transfers and
Managers are
players
involved in
thing.
like
But
commercial decisions and stuff as well, man. You
yeah,
manage the
but
club when you're the manager. Do you know what I mean? But
I'd rather
there's a lot.
I'd rather the manager coach focus on the football than
Yeah, same.
focus on the commercial side of things. So
Mm.
I'm not too fussed about what they want to call him. I'm fussed about the right person being in charge. That for me, if we've got a top class elite manager that calls himself a head coach, I couldn't give a monkeys, mate.
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you want to call yourself, as long as you are the cream of the crop, the top of the top, and you can coach and develop the players. You can call yourself Barbie doll for all you like. Don't care. I really don't.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, man. I agree with that. It's a tough one, but it's like it's just the way that the football's moved on now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The creation of sporting directors signalled the end of managers as a thing, and ultimately, like what you're saying is 100% true. Doesn't matter what they're called as long as they come in and coach the players well. Courtney said, referring back to what we said earlier, appointing Liam was the writing on the wall, and we don't disagree with that at all. Do you know what I mean? Definitely not a deserved appointment. Gabrielle, good to see you, man. You could observe the players behind the coaching staff in all these games not appearing impressed. So that speaks to, I guess, what everyone thought of Rosenior in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
It seemed like the only people that were backing him were the owners and the sporting directors. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't
no,
think
definitely.
any fan really. I mean, you had the people that no one, I don't think, really, when he came in, wished him to fail.
No, of
Unless
course.
there'll probably be a few, because you shouldn't want anyone to fail from the start. But I don't think anyone expected him to do well. I think that was
No.
across the board. We knew it wasn't the right appointment. We knew it was just them doing the clown stuff. It was always going to end the way that it was going to end. It was just whether it was going to end earlier rather than later. And unfortunately for him, because regardless of what he's done at Chelsea, because it's been terrible, and I spoke about him being close to Graham Potter or getting Potter vibes. He's in and there around it, mate, with the stats
Yeah,
that
no.
he's produced.
Yeah, no.
But
The
apart
last
from
few
that,
games
he's
have been
like
awful.
tarnished his whole reputation. It's
Yeah.
gone down the proverbial toilet. He's flushed, mate. Which
I do feel a little bit bad for him at that point, because it's like
Yeah.
he couldn't turn the job down, really, could he? Do you know what I mean? It's like if Frank Lampard said the same thing when Frank Lampard left Derby. He was like, I can't turn Chelsea down. He'd only been in management for a year, and obviously
Yeah.
did all right in the first year. But that's the thing, is you can't turn it down because it's the Chelsea job. B, you can't turn it
Yeah.
down because you're already working for Blueco. Do you know what I mean? So that's gonna if he didn't take it then, does he get it
Yeah.
later? Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
Because he's already turned it down once. So I do have some sympathy for him in moving into this role when he clearly wasn't ready for it, and he obviously
Yeah.
tried his best but it just wasn't the level. Do you know what I mean? So I said this in my video as well, like I do think that he is a bit of a victim of the Blueco era in the grand scheme of things, because
Yeah.
obviously he's always going to want the big jobs, but truth of the fact is he needed another couple of seasons with Strasbourg. He needed a year with like a Crystal Palace or something. Do you know what I mean? To
develop,
and then
yeah.
and maybe he can do a Frank Lampard and go down to the Championship, learn a bit more of his craft with a bit less pressure, and then because there's definitely a good manager in there, I think, and it is, for me, it's just evident that he's absolutely not ready for it now.
No, too soon.
Right, Courtney again. They will still lose all the games. Callum is no different. I mean, look, the truth is it actually can't get worse than it currently is. So if we stay where we're at, we still lose all of the games, but Blueco give themselves more time to hire the right guy rather than waiting until the end of the season and the World Cup and whatever, and then trying to snatch it up at that point. Do you know what I mean? So at the very least, even if nothing changes in the football, they've given themselves more time to make the right decision without needing to make a snap decision or keep Liam Rosenior. So
Yeah. We
that's
could be going
basically
into next season with him again. Yeah, fucking.
yeah.
We know
That's the
that would
thing,
work
isn't it?
out.
Because now they can hire someone in the next 2 to 3 weeks. They can spend all of this time and, during the World Cup figuring out the strategy for the transfers. They need to, whoever they hire, they need to give more props to, essentially. They need to be like, right, what is your style of football? How do you want to do this? Not, because we've been talking about it for ages. Do you know what I mean? It's like the sporting directors and the ownership have been building the team for managers to come in and manage, but classically that's not necessarily how it's done in successful teams. So whoever comes in next, which we will get onto the list in a minute, they need to give him allow him to imprint his identity onto the team, one way or the other. Right, so Omar. We all knew Rosenior didn't deserve the position. He was just their puppet. And yes, man, my issue with him is he always tried to justify everything, even when our eyes told us different. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what all managers do, though, man. And at the end of the day, it's like whether it's throwing players under the bus, whether it's absorbing pressure on yourself. Very few managers just come out and say, I'm not very good at this job. I don't know why I'm here. I know it felt like that to us. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, no, that's a difficult one. RC, hello mate, good to see you. Nothing will ever change until these clowns go, and wouldn't surprise me one bit if they hire Gary O'Neill or Igor Tudor, as they're totally clueless and never learn. I don't, I'm not actually worried about Gary O'Neill. I don't think. Look, yeah, I don't think so. Do you know what I mean? That might be the day I hang up my shirt. If we hire Gary O'Neill as the next manager, I might just close my channel down. No, I think that they know because it's a reflection of how they've tried to build the team. Liam Rosenior is the same kind of manager as the players that we've been trying to bring in, and it's not working. We need experience. That doesn't necessarily mean title winning experience because that is not exactly, prevalent in available managers at the end of the day, but we need someone who's been in the game a little bit, I think. Right, so Courtney, they use AI for data, so I wouldn't be surprised to think if they still had a great season. I mean, I don't think they just use AI for data. I think they probably use AI for player data in terms of scouting. Do you know what I mean? To try and find the minutiae of details that make the difference. And it's obviously not always working. Do you know what I mean? But I think you can't just be like, well, the AI says that this is working. When it's like, look at, we've conceded what 50. We've conceded like 20 goals in the last 8 games or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's absolutely wild.
yeah.
And we haven't scored any either. So I don't think you can, look past
don't
that.
need,
And be
don't
like, oh,
need
actually,
AI
no,
to
it's
tell me I ain't scored for the last 5 games. I can see that.
I'm pretty sure if you asked AI, is it good to not score any goals in 5 games? It wouldn't say, yes, it is. That's actually, you're smashing it, man. Actually, AI is like toxically positive, isn't it? So maybe
Might
that
do
is,
actually,
maybe.
yeah. It might say, compared to teams of the last 20 years, that's not too bad.
I've just got
You're
this
on the
image
right
now of
track.
Egbali. Egbali sat on his computer with ChatGPT, being like, ChatGPT, tell me how my season's doing. And it's like, you're doing a great job. Oh, absolutely outrageous. It's funny. It's so funny. Omar, Maresca left and his image and reputation has leveled up. I don't actually think that's true. Rosenior's reputation is now tarnished and it drags Blueco model project a black eye. I don't think Maresca's, okay, yeah, he won a couple of cups with this, which is good. Do you know what I mean? But he did lose a lot of games. Do you know what I mean? And we are now talking about the reason that we're not doing well is because of Rosenior. Do you know what I mean? Yes, there are players
Yeah.
that are issues, but Maresca had the team playing well enough to not get some of the absolutely silly results that we got. So I don't necessarily think there's a lot of talk about Maresca being linked with Man City, isn't there? And
Yeah.
I think that is purely them looking at who do we get in if we get a 60-point deduction. Who's been in the
Yeah, I
championship
suppose.
before?
Yeah, you're not going
Do
to
you know what I
get
mean?
not going to get a big manager to come in when you've had a 60-point production, are you? It's not
Pep's
happening.
not like, I'll spend a year in the championship. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, no, mate, no. So no, personally, I don't think that Maresca's reputation has leveled up any more than it has. Like, I think that you can see from some of the PSG game was the big one, really. We beat Liverpool, but they were pretty off when that was happening. He's got some big results, 100% that is true, and he is definitely adaptable. But also his style of football was very, very boring, and he's not very good with strikers. So I'm not sure about the reputation thing there. RC, doesn't matter how long Clown Lake will have to make an appointment, it will still be another bad one. Time they have is irrelevant. They're clueless clowns. Fair enough, man. There's not much. We're here to have discussion. Do you know what I mean? And unfortunately, there's not a huge amount of discussion you can have if we all kind of agree with, well, it's going to be bad anyway. So it's like, well, I'm going to continue to hope that things can get better. I can only hope that the sporting directors make a better decision this time. And this is the other thing with the Liam Rosenior thing as well, isn't it? Like, Maresca walked away. So, yes, they made a bad decision, but it was in a rash moment as well because we had to get another manager then and there. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like we could be like, let's just put Callum McFarlane in for 6 months and see what happens. Do you know what I mean? We needed a manager at the time, and there wasn't really anyone super available that we wouldn't have had to wrestle away from a club and pay money. Like, for instance, we're going to get onto the list in a minute because we're nearly at the bottom of the comments now, but there were some managers that we're going to talk about now that absolutely weren't possible to bring in January. So, nuance is important. I think nuance is important. Yes, Liam Rosenior was a bad appointment, but there wasn't much going on, to be completely honest. If it's O'Neill, I'm expecting a sharp pivot to the Coventry sink. Yes, David. Such a legend, man. Such a legend. Oh, no, I missed one of yours earlier, actually. One of yours you said earlier made me laugh. Hold on, where was it? Oh, yeah. Love this. Bookies have you as fourth most likely to get the job in the summer. Any comments on the rumours? Yeah, mate, I'm going to get John Terry in as my assistant manager and get him to do all the work. And I'm just going to say flouncy things in the post-match press conferences. And last, from Courtney, just on the Maresca thing, company will get the City job over Maresca. Yeah, I 100% believe that. If City don't get deducted 60 points. At the end of the day, company's not leaving a potentially Champions League winning Bayern Munich to come and manage potentially championship level
City.
Man City. So I think really that is how it all plays out, man. Like when Pep leaves, I think company is the heir apparent. Do you know what I mean? It definitely seems that way, doesn't it? Because he plays the right kind of football and he's working with egos like Harry Kane and Elise at the moment.
Yeah.
There's definitely some truth in that, I think. But I think the City situation is so predicated on what happens with the charges. So let's have a chat about who's next. Liam's out, Callum's at the wheel, but options. So I've got a list in my head. And it's just kind of recycled from the video I did earlier. But Kai, just tell me your like initial instincts about breaking.
Oh, great. Yeah. It's got even worse.
Oh, we are a joke.
Oh,
Brilliant.
I think by the weekend
anyway,
we could end up down by 10th, couldn't we?
Yeah, we could do, man. We could do. I'm not gonna lie. It's I don't envy Callum McFarlane now. He is probably like sweating buckets, isn't he? Absolute buckets. And to be honest, like we'd already be in 10th if Sunderland and Everton got results last weekend, which kept us in 6th. We were so lucky. We'd already be in 10th.
Yeah.
It's wild. Anyway, Kai, managers. So there's a list. I'll go through the list I've got in my head at the moment. But tell me who your initial instinct is and ultimately who you'd like to see.
This is a tough one, man. Because I know we've spoken prior before Rosenior got sacked, but I'm sitting here thinking now, what's out there? Like I'm not going to sit here and go, we're going to go get a Luis Enrique type manager. It ain't going to happen. It's not.
There's only
happen.
3. They're all pretty happy at their jobs.
He's not leaving. Nor do I think these guys could convince a manager like that to take this job. They have had enough years to ruin the club and put it in the face of everybody to turn people away from it. Like so that kind of caliber of manager is not happening. Who's next? Obviously you've got Fabregas would be nice, but again it's pairing. He has obviously the respect and the caliber from a player, but inexperience as a manager. So you're pairing another inexperienced manager with an inexperienced team again, which it's a similar rinse and recycle. Nor do I think Fabregas would be a yes man either. That he would just
no.
So I don't see that working.
Fabregas is my top pick, but there's loads of reasons that we'd struggle to get him in the first place. Honestly, I would have Fabregas over anyone and just roll the dice on it. But he's getting in Champions League with Como, and he's a part owner of the club as well.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It's there's a bit more caveats behind him that would not make it possible. I mean, there's always the shout for Lampard, and especially since he's done well with Coventry. But I don't want to see. I'd rather him spend the next 3-4 years at Coventry 100%. And build it up. Hopefully, he stays in the Premier League all the way through. Don't do it. But I also know if they went and knocked on Frank's door, he'd leave in a heartbeat. He is Chelsea. I know it's an absolute mess right now, and he clearly will see that. He was at the game the other day.
Do you think he would right now? I don't think he would. I think that what you've said is the right thing. I think that he needs to put his managerial career
he will tarnish his reputation coming to Chelsea. But it's the love for the club. That's the thing. Like it is powerful,
of course.
And that's the only thing that may make him think about it.
They obviously like him because they got him in his interim that time anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I foresee Lampard in our future again.
Yeah,
I think he'll be the only manager ever to have us 3 times. Apart from Gus Hiddink, I think had us 3 times as an interim.
He's come in a few times as interim, but I mean Nagelsmann would still be in for a shout. He's still not. don't think is he still the Germany
I think
head
so.
coach?
I think
But I
so.
think
So that's
he's looking
the
to
issue, isn't it?
end it.
Yeah.
I don't think he's looking to go past this World Cup. At least the rumors that because he's been rumored to quite a few clubs. I again think it will be difficult to convince him, but what he would have, he would still be in the side of the new age sort of youngest managers, but he's got
Skateboards to work.
international level,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
international level experience. He's got Bayern
Yeah.
Munich. He's had experience, so you would be taking an experienced-ish
Yeah.
coach and putting
And he's
him.
he's kind of the best of both worlds in that respect, isn't he? Because
He's
he's only in his early
yeah.
40s. Is he even 40 yet? I'm not sure. He was
Oh, he
really
might
young
not
when
be.
he was at
Yeah.
Bayern Munich, wasn't he?
But you
So
know,
yeah, you're
he's
taking that kind of young modern manager,
young
but
model
he's
with
got
with experience and putting him through.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but right now, like I don't think it's so much about
Who do you want? Who do you want?
who do I
Just
want.
say like forget about the nuance, the caveats, just for a
Yeah,
minute. And who do you want? Yeah, out of anyone, go for it. Carte blanche.
yeah.
Get whoever
Well,
you want. Apart from the
I'm gonna
obvious ones like fucking Guardiola and whatever. Do you know
yeah. No, I'm gonna in terms of to fit everything.
what I mean?
Because if these Muppets are still going to be in charge, it's still going to have to fit their certain criteria. It would have to be Nagelsmann then
Yeah,
for
okay.
me, because he has everything that it would appease them for their criteria, but it would also bring in an experienced manager to I think would do quite well with this squad.
Mm.
And his football was attacking. I don't think we'd
Yeah.
go any games without scoring any goals, which I don't even remember what it feels like to celebrate a goal. If I'm going to be totally honest, it's been that
He
long.
did go a season without winning the league at Munich, though, didn't he? And I guess that's like doesn't necessarily mean that he's bad,
No.
but it's rare.
Yeah,
Right. So let's talk. So Nagelsmann, I think, is a great shout, and I think if I'm honest, he feels like the realistic dream shout. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the realistic dream shout. Managers that are available. I think the issues with Nagelsmann are the fact that if he is, we should probably just look this up. But
Yeah.
he's the Germany coach, right? So you don't
Yeah.
get his availability over that period of
Yeah.
time to help build the team, to work with the team, to build up to pre-season. So I actually think that in itself is the reason that we won't go for him. I think
I
it's
was
so
just searching
unlikely.
up his name. It just first thing that comes up was Nagelsmann's not interested in the Chelsea job, so that's my thing out the window.
Yeah, and do you know
Yeah,
what though? He was he not in the running when Pochettino got the job?
Yeah, he
And
turned us down.
his agent came out and said that he turned us
Yeah.
down. Yeah, so I'm not surprised that that's not the case because he's going
It's
to
worse now than it was then, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, 100%. So yeah, Nagelsmann would be great, but yeah, I just don't think it's super likely. Fabregas for me, just to touch on that. Courtney backed it up. Like, yeah, I think one of the most difficult things about him is being the part owner,
Yeah.
but at the same time, he does need to think about his managerial career and what the opportunities are. The interesting thing about Fabregas is he's done very well with no money, none. Do you know what I mean? It's like they were in the second tier of Italian football. They hadn't been in the top tier for 20 odd years. It was about 20 years,
Yeah.
I think. And they finished sixth last season, and he's getting them into the Champions League now. That is absolutely unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
got players on loan from Real Madrid like Nico Paz, and he's got some old stalwarts and stuff, and zero money, and he's done a really good job. And also he came out and he had, do you remember, a couple of pointed things to say about the way that Maresca was managing the team a little while
Yeah.
ago, specifically pertaining to the Man United game when Sanchez got sent off and he made loads of crazy subs and stuff. He's my dream pick. I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's very, very unlikely. So let's move on to who I actually think is the most likely. And I don't love it, if I'm completely honest. I don't love it, but it's still going to be better than what we've been going through. It is the Premier League options. At the
Areola.
very least, Glasner from Crystal Palace announced he's leaving ages ago.
Yeah.
Last week, maybe as recently as last week, Iraola also announced that he's not going to be the Bournemouth manager next season, and they've already lined up their next guy. There's also Marco Silva at Fulham as well, who has been there a while now, but probably would be, kind of up for a move. But I think the two main candidates are going to be Glasner and Iraola, personally. There's some other ones that we can talk about outside of that, but that's who I think the more likely candidates are going to be. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Yeah, it's bleak, man. It's bleak. Because that is the kind of level. In what world would you be looking at a Bournemouth and a Crystal Palace manager? Like that It's not to say
Better
that
than a
there's
Leicester and
top
a
class.
Strasbourg manager, though,
I
isn't it?
suppose, yeah. You know, I mean, like, I suppose, yeah, we've sank further than
Yeah.
it possibly could be.
Both of which have been successful in the Premier League in their own right, based on the teams that they've been with. You know, Palace
That's the thing,
winning
you know. You,
the FA Cup and
I
Sunderland
suppose,
winning the second.
out of the two, at least Glasner's won something. You know, that just
Iraola, I think, has had a harder job though because although don't get me wrong, Palace have had their attacking talents pilfered. Like Bournemouth have been stripped top to bottom year after year because they
yeah.
keep doing all right. Do you know what I mean? So he gets like a new squad every season and he still keeps coming back. So yeah, I think Glasner. I think Glasner. The issue with Glasner is like if you look at the way that he left Crystal Palace, do you know what I mean? He kind of come out and said, you know,
Yeah, won't go
basically
well with
having
the
issues
ownership.
with the ownership. Do you know
The
what I mean?
ownership,
So
yeah.
yeah, Iraola maybe a little bit more possible in that regard. Although yeah, because it seems quite amicable, I guess. He's just come into the end of his contract and has decided that he's looking at pastures new. But yeah, you know, I'm just trying to think who else in the
I've
Premier
seen
League.
someone earlier today mention Amarin.
Oh no, they wouldn't.
You know,
Surely
uh,
they wouldn't.
well, he would. Of course, he would, because
You
he'd
know, he
probably
would.
come
Yeah,
back. Yeah, he'd come back and go, "I'm going to prove you right." Now, I
But
always thought,
I think the issue with
go on.
Amarim though is they haven't. But like Amarim has his style, his philosophy. It's three at the back, it's wing backs, it's whatever. Blueco have built a team to play out from the back, not a back three team. Do you know what I mean? So the
Yeah.
overhaul to even accommodate an Amarim, even if it was something we were remotely considering, would actually be a lot bigger than it would
Yeah,
for the overhaul we're going to need for a Glasner or an Iraola. So yeah, that's wild, man. I can't.
yeah. This has been like when you look at it, there's just not. There's not much out there.
No, so there's a guy that's been mentioned a couple of times. I'm going to bring him up now. Because it's yeah. So first was Tem CFC. If you're still here, mate, thanks for the comment. Seems like Felipe Luis has gone mute at the moment. So he was being talked about quite a lot when Rosenior was as well, but he's a lot more wedded to Flamengo and obviously to leave them halfway through a season.
He's gone, isn't he?
Oh, has he gone?
I swear he was sacked.
What?
I'm
I
pretty
didn't even
sure.
know that. Was he actually?
I could be wrong. I might have been someone else that I saw.
Yeah, I think he's still there, man. I feel like that would have been reasonably big news because he's done really well with him.
Yeah,
Did they actually?
sacked in March.
When?
Sacked him in March.
March.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's gone,
well.
so
So he's Brazilian. He did a really good job with Flamengo. I think he won the league with him, didn't he?
yeah.
The impressive thing about Brazilian teams that I didn't realise until the Club World Cup is how many games they play in a season.
Yeah.
Like Flamengo in 2025 played like 78 games, which is like the most in the world. Do you know what I mean? In the entirety of world football, Flamengo played the most games out of anyone. I don't know why that is, obviously including the Club World Cup, but we were at like 64 or something. Do you know what I mean? 67, something like that. He's got a similar philosophy, I guess, to Enzo Maresca, but he's a little bit more attacking about it. I guess we've got a large Brazilian contingent now, so that could always be a bit of a thing.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. Saying that, it's not like Liam Rosenior got amazing tunes out of Cole Palmer and Reece James, do you know what I mean? Just because they're English or whatever. But yeah, Felipe Luis, I don't know, man. I don't know. My issue with Felipe Luis is it feels really similar to Maresca and it feels really similar to Liam Rosenior, where it's like they've done well somewhere that isn't indicative that they could come in and do well here. And it's not to say that it couldn't happen, but it feels like a lot more of a gamble. What do you think?
Yeah, but I mean that's going to be about every manager. I mean, you know, like the ones from in the Premier League, Iraola, he's done well at Bournemouth. Doesn't mean he's going to do well at Chelsea. You know, you can say the same thing about Glasner. The only difference between them two is they've competed in the league. They know the league, you know, in and out. They know the teams in and out. But I think at any point, the managers that we're looking at are always going to be a gamble, regardless, because we're not going with people that have been around the game that have won loads of, you know, trophies. It's just not what we're looking at.
I mean, they
So
just don't really exist, though. That's the thing. We'll
not
get into that.
anymore. No.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a sec. So I do think that's a massive thing. Two things. First, I always forget to do this, guys. If you're in the stream, drop us a little likey McLikeson. Let's get the stream out to more people, and let's make mine and Kai's therapy session a little bit more worth it with some digital thumbs ups. We absolutely love that. Also, interesting comment from Tem CFC here about Felipe Luis. He was in talks with Blueco, thinking it was for the Chelsea job, but realised it was for Strasbourg, and then Flamengo found out after, so they sacked him. So if we're the reason that he got sacked, then maybe that's actually like a reason to think that he might come in the first place. Can you imagine though? Like that seems wild for a professional manager in football to be like, oh yeah, I'm interviewing for the Chelsea job. No, I'm not. I'm interviewing for the Strasbourg job.
Yeah.
That seems a little bit far fetched, doesn't it? For his agent not to have been like to be like, it's Chelsea. Chelsea want you. Chelsea want you. Oh, actually, no, it's Strasbourg. Like
Depends how ambiguous they made the. Because they can get away with it. They can just go, oh yeah, we'll have a chat, because they own both, and then get hot,
I don't
3/4 of the way, go, oh actually the club is Strasbourg, it's not Chelsea.
I feel like when you get the offer for an interview,
yeah,
there isn't an ambiguousness about it. Do you know what I mean? Because we're not the first people in the world to do a multi-club model.
No,
do you know what I mean?
no.
So yeah, I'm not sure about that one, but yeah, Felipe Luis I think is an interesting option, but I think he's another potential Liam Rosenior situation. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like he's done wrong. And interestingly as well, with the Premier League options that we're talking about with Glasner and Iraola, what I'm absolutely terrified about is Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank smashed it at Brentford, and then he left and could not even come close to doing well at Tottenham. And he didn't have to do much better.
I feel like Glasner and Iraola are going to be the same kind of thing.
It's a worry, isn't it? It's a real worry because Tottenham, Frank talked a big game, looked wicked at Bournemouth, had issues with his players being bought and stuff and having to change up quite a lot. But I was worried about, so I predicted Tottenham finish 8th at the start of this season, and that was from them finishing, 16th? Something? 15th, 16th? So, yeah, that's what I worry about with Iraola and Glasner is the Thomas Frank effect, where it's like...
The thing that these managers, obviously, every manager's going to have some kind of pressure, but they're not going to have this kind of pressure. When you're at a top 6 club, it's a different kind of pressure. And I find a lot of these managers that come from the teams in the lower divisions that haven't experienced this kind of pressure, this kind of expectation and things like that, they can't hack it, at least from experience. Like we've seen it countless times now. So it is going to be a gamble. Whatever way you do it, you can lace it up whatever way you like. Oh, Premier League, it doesn't matter. It's a different kettle of fish. It's it's not great, but like you said earlier, like the top class managers, the ones that have won everything, they just don't. They're not around the game anymore. They're either retired or international football or happy where they are, and they're not leaving for this joke.
If you think about the Premier League over the last 10 years, it's been won by 3 managers. Ranieri, who I don't want. I don't even know what he's doing, but I don't want Ranieri. Jurgen Klopp, who's not a manager anymore. And Pep Guardiola, who we're not getting. So in the last 10 years, I think that's it. Maybe Antonio Conte actually is year 10 of that. But do you know what I mean? So the biggest honours have been won by so few people. You think about Real Madrid. Real Madrid don't hire necessarily good tactical managers because they focus completely on star power, right? Barcelona have one of the remaining good managers who's won stuff in Hansi Flick. He's not going anywhere. Luis Enrique obviously is doing well at PSG. We're never getting Luis Enrique. Do you know what I mean? It's not happening.
Yeah.
He's made there. He's looking to get in. He's got a shot of being in the Champions League final for the 2nd year in a row. And
what about? I think I know your stance on this, but he still holds big space in my heart. Tommy T. He's obviously got his contract is for this World Cup, so either he doesn't do well.
Not. He got an extension.
Oh, did he get? Oh, I must have missed that.
Yeah,
I was gonna say he doesn't do well, and he leaves. He wins the World Cup. He leaves on a high.
So it's
Do
not
you?
even about my stance on this,
Yeah.
right? It's literally not even about my stance. Like, I would love to have Tommy Tuchel back. I
Mm.
absolutely would. But there's a couple of issues. First one, he signed an extension a couple of months ago to keep him with England until the end of the next Euros, at the very least.
Right. So is it next year or is it year
The
after?
year after next.
Yeah.
So
So
we've
it's
got
another,
a
yeah,
year
another
off
2 years.
next
Yeah.
year. We've actually got a
Yeah.
year
Yeah.
with no
Yeah.
football next summer, and then the year after that will be the Euros.
Oh, they'll find
The
something to put
bigger
in there.
the bigger problem. Thank you, Courtney. Yes, everyone. Thank you for reminding me as well. Good lad. Yes, like the stream. Give us a little clicky McClickaroo. 16. That's one of our highest concurrents so far. Actually, that's pretty good. Right. The other problem with Thomas Tuchel is something happened, right?
Mm.
And no one knows what it is apart from Simon Jordan, right? So Bluko know, Tommy Tuchel knows, and for some reason Simon Jordan knows. Simon
Yeah.
Jordan was quizzed about it on Talksport today. He was literally like angry Chelsea fan, calls him up and,
Mm.
Simon, you've got to tell us, why can't we have Tommy Tuchel back? What happened? And all he said was like, it's not my news to tell you. So he has said it before.
Mm.
Something happened. We're not just talking about a fallout or something. Do you
Mm.
know what I mean? There is something personal that Thomas Tuchel did that
Mm.
looks by the sounds of it really negative. That means it's impossible to hire him again.
Mm.
And I'm not surprised that he hasn't gone back into club management after that either. It's a bit of an unusual one for Tommy Tuchel to take the England job, isn't it? So I'm not sure what the reasoning behind it is, but something happened at Chelsea with Thomas Tuchel there, and it wasn't just about he wasn't a yes man, and it was like there's an event that has taken place, and
Mm.
unfortunately we will probably never find that out. Do you know what I mean? Because it is being very, very well kept secret, and Simon Jordan's let slip a couple of times that he knows what it is, but
Mm.
so. as a manager, I love Tommy Tuchel, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like I don't know anything about the behind the scenes stuff. Just as a manager, I
Yeah.
think us winning the Champions League with Tommy Tuchel was wild when you consider our squad. Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Hakim Ziyech, like awful,
Mm.
awful attacking team, man. Really, really, really bad. And for him, 13 likes, thank you. Anyone else that hasn't liked the stream, we've got 16 in the stream and 13 likes, 3. Give it a little clickaroo. But yeah, Tommy Tuchel, he talks the talk and he walks the walk, which is rare. Now, I think the thing with Thomas Tuchel as well, like his league form was bad. Do you know what I mean? The
Mm.
league form was not good. The league form was not good. That's one of the reasons maybe why England are interested in him because evidently he's a cup manager. But he struggled with PSG when he was at PSG,
Mm.
and he also it's not exclusive to Chelsea. He falls out with the hierarchy everywhere. He did it at
Mm.
Mainz. He did it at Borussia Dortmund. He did it at Bayern Munich. He did it at PSG. He did it at Chelsea. Every single time Tommy Tuchel has left a job, it has been because he's fallen out with the hierarchy. So I think he's just too hot, man, unfortunately. Like,
Yeah.
if I could just take the manager side of him and without all of the other stuff, and yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, I just think he's a bit too hot. So there's one I want to float to you. One that we haven't talked about. He's available. He has winning experience in an quite incredible way. He's an ex-Liverpool and Real Madrid legend midfielder. It's Xabi Alonso. What do you think?
No.
No?
No. No. If I just go on like what he did at Leverkusen, ridiculous.
Yeah, okay.
Ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
unreal, to do not just to do what he did, but the way that he did it, unbeaten. I think it was only the
Wild.
Europa League final that they lost, didn't they, to Atlanta, I want to say.
And it's
Otherwise,
not
it would
like
have been fully
Leverkusen-
unbeaten.
It's not like Leverkusen challenge every
Yeah.
season either. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he took a Dortmund, for instance, and did it with them. He did it with a
Yeah.
really surprising team.
Yeah, exactly. But then I look and we spoke about it just now about managers that are coaching smaller teams and then get given a
okay.
big job
Yeah.
and they fail. He went to Madrid.
I think it's a bit different
With-
with Madrid, though. Because
You-
we
you-
talked
well,
about
you
this
can- you-
today as well. It's like
Yeah.
it's the star power thing. It's like Madrid's one of the few teams in the world where you get
Yeah.
given the team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're getting this player, you're getting that player, you're getting that player. We're bringing them in because they're
Yeah.
Galacticos or whatever. And I think that didn't work for him. But carry on.
Yeah, I just think again it's stepping into another a bigger club. I also don't think he's gonna be happy saying yes to everything. He doesn't, because what you've got right is Liam Rosenior, Enzo Maresca, those two most recent managers. had Rosenior absolutely barely any experience in the game managing,
Yeah.
barely a playing career there. He played
Mm.
obviously at the Premier League level, but it wasn't great. Same with Maresca. You're going to be taking one of the world's best players at the time. Camera
Yeah.
died on me right there. Um, One of the world's best players at the time.
Yeah.
I'll sort it out in a sec. And get him to come under these people that know nothing about football. They're going to
Yeah.
fall out left, right, and centre. Like, I can't see it. So, no, I don't think he would be the right option, if I'm totally
Okay.
honest.
Okay. No, that's interesting, man. It's like everyone's got a different opinion
Mm,
on it. It's interesting because when I spoke to Jan about Rosenior, and we were like, I said to him like, who would you have? Xabi Alonso was his first go-to, really
yeah.
honing in on the incredible invincible season. But you are right. It is like it's almost like the issue that he might have at Chelsea is actually similar to the one that he had at Real Madrid, where it's like you've got these players, this is what you work with, and he doesn't get to put his imprint on the team.
Yeah.
So that does make sense. I'll go through a couple of these comments while you are sorting out your technical difficulties. Daniel said, Amazon should Chelsea all or nothing because we want to know what happened behind the scenes. Mate, this season, can you imagine an all or nothing for this season? Oh, it'd be wild. Absolutely wild. Omar says no to Zabi. Fair enough. Like, I think there's an argument for it, but I do understand the argument against it as well. Tem CFC said, did we talk about Cesc? My personal choice is Cesc Fabregas above everyone. That's like, I know that what we have is it's a bit hypocritical of me because he doesn't have Premier League experience. He's winning it. I just think what he's done at Como is absolutely incredible. I think he's got the Chelsea connection there. Like, I think Cesc Fabregas is a better manager than Frank Lampard, and we'd consider Frank Lampard. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, Cesc is like, I would absolutely love to see it. He's my favourite Chelsea player, and I think he's an intelligent man. I don't think he'd be an absolute yes man. I think he's shown that he can work within difficult parameters, at Como, because he's basically, as an interim manager, he got them promoted for the first time in 20 years. As as his first real management job, he got him into sixth place in their first season ever, like in 20 years in the Italian top flight, and now he's getting them into the Champions League. But the difficulty is, A, he's got them into the Champions League. That's kind of incredible. You want to see that out, don't you? And B, he's a part owner of the club, so it's a different conversation at the end of the day. Also from Thames CFC, and also reports have told Blueco have told JT he can never be manager.
That came out a while ago though, didn't it?
Yeah,
The whole JT, they didn't want him around the club because they didn't think he was professional enough. That's
yeah.
that's what I remember reading, which is absolutely
I think it's
ridiculous.
wild. Yeah, I think the thing is, like, I can see JT being fierier than Frank, but I don't
Mm,
think you can question his professionalism because they are
no.
literally from that same team, and they were
Yeah.
both as important as each other. I would love to see Frank Lampard in charge with John Terry as an assistant. That'd be
Yeah, and
magic,
just
wouldn't
get
it?
Drogba in as well to train the strikers up. I've just had
Check to be our
the whole
goalkeeper. Yeah,
yeah,
just like,
had
get
the
him all
whole
in, mate,
gang
get him
back.
all in. That'd be
Um,
brilliant. CJ Ramsden, yeah, good to see you again, mate. It's been a little while. You popped up on my video earlier as well. Good to see you back. Why couldn't JT be manager? I think the thing is, like, it's not even just the Chelsea angle. The truth of the fact is, so there's something about John Terry that we don't see. I love John Terry. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'd love to see it, but he hasn't got any manager's jobs. He's had his badges for years, and he's never gotten over the line in an interview. And he's been for a lot of them as well. Do you know what I
mm,
mean? So the problem with JT is you do it because you're throwing him a bone. Because whatever, we don't know how those interviews go and stuff. But it isn't just Chelsea. We're not just talking about Chelsea. He's interviewed for a lot of jobs and he hasn't got them. I've got no idea what the reason for that is, because I think you want someone like that, motivating people at the end of the day. But for one reason or another, he's never managed to get the job. So I do think it's a bit wild. No, this one. My choice would be Cesc. Me too, man. Me too. To be completely honest, he's absolutely my number one. I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's unlikely. I think it would take some real moving of heaven and earth in order to make that happen. Thames CFC, Hasselbank has said he would help the club if needed. Delap could use a helping hand at the moment.
Delap needs more than a
Uh,
helping hand.
Mate, Delap needs a taxi back to Ipswich, mate. Is what
He
he
had
needs.
no shots again yesterday.
So
None.
bad. Do you know? a couple people over the season, like when I've been digging out Delap in my videos, which I don't do all of the time. He's a young lad, and I understand he's got to improve in that, but I've obviously dug him out a few times. And a few people have like leapt to his defense, being like, "All of the managers he's using him wrong." I'm like, mate, it's like 36. Mate, I think he might be the worst striker in the Premier League this season in terms of game
I don't think it's
goal
even
to game,
close.
goal to game ratio. 2 goals in 36 games, 37 games now, something like that. Absolutely awful. Just fortunately wasn't super expensive, and you won't lose money on him either because he's still so young, and the right team would pay 30 mil. Like Newcastle have paid 30 mil for Liam Delap, which is what we paid for him. So fortunately it's not going to be a loss, but it wasn't a good purchase. Omar, the real question is: are these sporting directors going to still be here, or will they restructure the hierarchy to have the director work hand in hand with the manager? It's a head coach, so it won't be a manager. So the structure isn't going to change yet. I think this is their last roll of the dice as well, because I think you can only sack managers for so long before you look at the next bit, and the next bit is obviously the sporting directors. Before Blueco think about selling or leaving or anything like that, they're going to look at restructuring stuff. But like I mentioned this earlier, what we've been hearing for a while is really in-depth conversations have been being had about the summer, and for a long time now. Do you know what I mean? Looking obviously because we've been having bad results for 6 months now, haven't we?
Yeah, I think
So
the problem with that, mate, is they say the same things every season. That is the biggest thing. There's always a
that's not true.
reflection.
They didn't say
Well,
last season that
no,
were
that
going
is
to come
true,
in and
because
buy
there's always a
experience.
reflection
Well, no,
process
there
for
isn't. They've said something
every
different
decision
this
that they got the wrong. No, it's the same thing. They said
Yeah,
exactly the
but
same thing before
yeah,
hiring Maresca.
everyone says that about
Same
every
thing
bad
again.
decision, though, don't they? Everyone says that about every bad
Yeah, but
decision.
that's the
Like
thing.
that's not even
But
exclusive to them. That's
but
just
why?
what people
But then
do.
why are we saying that this reflection is going to be any different to the last reflection that they had, which
I'm
gave them
not
the
talking about
reflection to
that's.
choose?
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about them coming out in today and saying that we're going to reflect or whatever. Like that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is this conversation that's been being had for ages now, not just today since we've sacked Rosenior, about them going in for a different profile of player in the summer. This is the first time they've said that. Do you know what I mean? Because they stuck to their guns before and said we're going to buy young and we're going to develop people. We're going to buy the best young talents in the world. They were very very open about
Yeah,
it.
they
And there
put out
wasn't
and
this.
say
The closest we got to it was, if the right player deal becomes available, then we'll look at it. That was the only thing
about
we got before. The message
the
has
bargain
changed.
things. Yeah, but they were talking about, and this is recently. I want to say last month or so. So they
Yeah,
talk about changing and going for experienced players, right? And you go,
yeah,
okay, that's what we want to hear. And then a couple
yeah.
of days later, it comes out, but experience doesn't always mean age.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Which,
That's true.
okay, that's fine, but for me, when it comes out like that, like you've said, you're going to go for experienced players. That's all
Mm.
you need to say. That's all you need to say. Like, so when we talk about it for that instance, so say if Rodrigo, for instance, right? He's young,
Yeah,
like 23, but been around the game for donkey's years.
yeah,
Donkey's years. So if they were going in for someone like that, I go,
mm,
experience, don't care about his age. Fine.
yeah,
You
yeah, yeah,
don't
yeah.
need to follow it up after that, go, but
Well,
it
they
doesn't
didn't.
mean
David
age.
Ornstein did.
Yeah, no, you know
They,
what I mean? But the news is gonna come, it's gonna be leaked down from somewhere. It's just
y-
how it's done over the years. It's been done like that. The moment these guys walk through the door, it doesn't suddenly just switch.
I think
It doesn't.
that's a difficult one because then essentially you're accusing everyone that reports on Chelsea of being a brown envelope. So that's
Well,
a difficult one.
not in those words, but there are particular ones
Well, no,
that have.
you're essentially
Yeah,
inferring that David Ornstein only reports on things he gets directly from the club. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, like
but he is one of those reporters that do, from not just from our club particularly, but clubs in general. Like he's probably one of the only reporters that sources come directly from a club rather
yeah,
than
yeah, that's fair, but
other people around.
yeah,
You know
no,
what I
no,
mean? Like
absolutely.
he's one
I
that
don't
we
get
would
me.
look at even recently, like last summer. We would say he's more. What's the word? His credentials, not
Yeah,
credentials. I forget the word. So you know they had the whole battle
integrity.
with him and Romano in the summer, and Romano
Yeah,
just went
yeah,
rock bottom, and Ornstein went up. And
yeah,
what part of the reasons people were going, well, because his sources are actual club sources, where Romano is like
yeah,
anybody,
yeah,
anybody with some kind of source. So you put David Ornstein's credibility up a bit higher. So when he is posting things, it's coming from a club source from somewhere. You know what I mean?
I think the thing is though, it's like I don't think anyone like even when we were hearing about experience, I don't think anyone actually thought that meant they're going to go out and buy loads of 28 to 30-year-olds. Like no one actually
No,
thought that. I didn't think that. Do you know what I mean? I didn't
no.
think that.
But
I
that's what I mean. I
thought,
didn't understand the follow up afterwards. It didn't. All you need to tell
yeah,
me is you're going for experience. That's it. I
it's
don't care about the rest.
it's to
Yeah.
spoon feed it to the people that did assume that what they were going to do is.
Yeah.
But the majority of people like me and you who do this all the time. Do you know what I mean? It's like we know that when they come out and saying we're going to, and the thing is, Liam Rosenior actually clarified himself that experience wasn't the word they were using. It was emotionally stable. Do you know what I mean? And players that can come in and players that can come in and make an impact. And those were the words. If anything, if you're talking about what's come from the club, like that was it. Do you know what I mean? It's like what Liam Rosenior had to say in that moment was what they wanted people to know. And the idea, by the sounds of it, is to get less Garnachos and Jamie Gittins and more Cucureas and João Pedros.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
yeah, it's mad though when you think about it. Obviously, the getting stuff I get, but like in experience, I know he's been awful, but Garnacho's been in the Premier League for years, like since 17. That's like 4 or 5 years. So it's like it just
Garnacho
worries
was
me,
a
man.
fairly
Like,
safe
what are
bet,
they
to be honest.
conceded? You know, they considering experience? It could still be a very similar.
The problem is like we discount when they've got it right because they've got it wrong so often. Do you know what I mean? And I think the main issue is the amount of player trading that we've done. I think that is one of the biggest issues. And I think if we cut down the amount of players that we buy, because we've bought 60 players in four years, in 4 seasons.
That spreadsheet is long, mate. That
Crazy.
spreadsheet is
Absolutely
long.
crazy. And they've got a 10% success rate, basically. You could argue 8%, but they've got, at the very, very minimum, they've got a 10% success rate. So what they need to do is, instead of buying 20 players in the summer, they need to buy 6. Some for the first team, some for backup. Do you know what I mean? And just fill spots. We've obviously got players coming in already as well. And those are young, unproven players. Do you know what I mean? Penders, Omega, Quenda. Do you know what I mean? So we've already kind of filled a lot of that quota that we've all, that we can have. Of players to come into the squad. So this is just to kind of back off of this. So TMCFC says, what sort of experience would we realistically get, though we have a bloated squad? So I think it's stuff like Jan-Paul van Hecke, right? Jan-Paul van Hecke, 25 years old, experienced Premier League defender, per sofa score, 8th best player in the Premier League this season. Do you know what I mean? Underneath the likes
Brighton
of...
centre-back.
Yeah. And he's good.
Shock, isn't it? Yeah, no, he's good. But you know what I mean?
You say shock. You say shock like it's a bad thing. like, name all of the players from Brighton and then tell me how many of them haven't worked.
Well, we've got 2.
So you've got João Pedro. Is good.
João Pedro, yeah.
Is good. Moises Caicedo is good.
Good.
Robert Sanchez, no. Okay, fair enough. But do you know what I mean? So when we go shopping at Brighton, actually, like, I get the narrative. Do you know what I mean? People are like, oh, Brighton. But the truth of the fact is, it actually works. And Jan-Paul van Hecke looks like a really good player. Yeah, that's the issue.
It's the fleecing. It's the mind you, João Pedro, I wouldn't say is overpriced compared to what other strikers went for and his return that he's brought to the season.
100%. Not a bargain, but kind of what you'd expect for paying that sort of money. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, for me, like Jan-Paul, we've seen links with Jan-Paul van Hecke. We've seen links with Murillo, right? That's the kind of experience that we're looking at. I think it's already there. We've already got in the news examples of players that we've been looking at, players that we're interested in, that aren't 18-year-olds from Kuala Lumpur.
So one of the players that we were linked with in January, and I didn't know this until recently. So Senese from Bournemouth, not my top pick. But he's free in the summer. Free.
Oh, is he? I think he's going to Liverpool, isn't he?
Well, I think I've seen loads of links to him now. I didn't know he was going to be free. The fact that he's free...
That's wild. Yeah, we should have jumped on that.
I would be... Even depth, squad, whatever you're going to be, if I would definitely partner him up with somebody else. Obviously, Cole will hopefully comes back. But that is 28. That's a good level of experience. Played in Bournemouth, generally been quite a solid defensive unit.
We've been linked with Lacroix from Palace. Well.
Crystal Palace.
So this is what I mean, like, especially if we don't get Champions League, right? That's the other thing as well. Like, we can't go out and buy the world's best if we don't get Champions League. It's not going to happen. But we can get a Senesi or a Jan-Paul van Hecke, or do you know what I mean? So I think we are already seeing the level of experience that we're going to get. And no, it is not world-beating players, but it is players who know. So, for instance, interesting thing about Jan-Paul van Hecke, 8 yellow cards this season, no reds, no yellows to reds. So he knows how to play the game, which is what we don't have.
Yeah.
Because any of our players that have got that many yellow cards this season have been sent off at some point.
Yeah.
Um,
And Caicedo's
so I
sitting
think
on
it's
9,
already
mate.
there.
I'm waiting.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
waiting for it to happen.
absolutely.
It's happening soon. Um,
Definitely, definitely. And when we actually sit and tear the squad apart, like especially if we get a new manager and we forget about the issues with Cucurella and Enzo Fernandez, and we just assume that we're going to keep all of our better players anyway, left wing needs sorting out.
100%.
In terms of first team positions, left wing needs sorting out, centre back needs sorting out, goalkeeper needs sorting out. Roughly everywhere else, kind of okay in the grand scheme of things. We've got fucking right wingers for days. I never swear on this channel. I'm getting emotional. We've got right wingers for days.
Yeah.
We've got Omega, we've got João Pedro, and potentially also Nicholas Jackson is softening his stance on coming back as well. And I think that would be great to get him back. Because he has experience now. Do you know what I mean? It's like we know he can score goals. He still needs to develop. He's still a little bit raw, but an attacking trio, like an attacking striker lineup of João Pedro, Omega, and Nicholas Jackson to me sounds good. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
to
I
João
would
Pedro,
be.
Liam Delap,
I would say
Mark Yu.
for me, Delap and You've got to go. Gu, I would say I would loan him. Delap, I would cut our losses and sell him. I'll be totally honest. I don't think he suits the club, the style.
Yeah, I agree. I think Liam Delap gets sold. We break even on Liam Delap, so we don't lose money. But I also do think Mark Gu gets sold because that's profit. It's like 20 mil.
I think, I think it will also be more on Mark Gu. I think he wants to go because he wants. I mean, he got a sniff. And considering our only options being Delap, I was quite surprised at that. But I think it'd also be very harsh to not make João Pedro start and striker next season. You know, he's put up
100%.
good numbers this year.
Definitely.
Good numbers. And if it weren't for a few injuries, and obviously no striker is going to be 100% every game for the entire season. No. They are going to have dips and forms. But he's got 24 something goal involvements, maybe more this season. He scored 19 goals, something like that. Like those are the numbers you want to see, and you would say first season he's only going to improve next season. So I would be harsh, but you've got Mega coming in. I wouldn't, though. I still think the bridges are burnt with Jackson. I think he's probably going to go.
So
I wouldn't mind.
If someone comes in with 50 mil for Jackson, fair enough. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But I actually, so I've seen it sounds like his agent is putting out the word actually because Liam Rosenior's going and because obviously Maresca's was his problem in the first place, and he's not necessarily after not doing well at Munich. He's not obviously going to go to a better team than Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? So it's a difficult one. But this is kind of my point, man. Is like we don't need to overhaul the entire team. Do you know what I mean? We don't need we need a couple of we need a couple of the guys in our starting 11 to become backups essentially. Do you know what I mean? And we need a solid, strong centre back. I would love to see Jan Paul Van Heck and Levi Colwell as a partnership. I think that'd be absolutely great. Reece James and Malagusto, I'm okay with. Yoro Hato and Mark Cucurella, I'm okay with. Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Romeo Lavia. And, we've been linked with the guy from Bournemouth, Alex Scott, as well. That's the kind of player, yes, he's young, but he's had a good season. Premier League experience, yeah, cool. I'd be happy to see, we've still got Andre Santos knocking around. Right wing, Esteval Willian, potentially Cole Palmer, Pedro Neto, if we don't sell him, which I think we might. Giovanni Quenda's going to be able to play there. Left wing, we need to bring someone in, 100%. I think Garnacho goes. I think Jamie Gittins is just too injured to go.
I think we need a 10, mate.
Yeah, we do need a 10.
I think we have to get a 10 this summer. We can't. I don't know. Palmer, obviously, at the moment, we can't rely on him, and that could be down to managerial problems. It could be down to fitness. It could be all of it together. But the problem we have is if he's having a bad game, we've got nobody to replace him with, and we've got 100%. you know who I would take, and he's absolutely smacking it at the moment. Morgan Gibbs White for me. I know Morgan Rogers is probably the one on a lot of the lips because of the style, but for me, I want someone different to Cole Palmer. Does the creativeness, but is a bit more robust. That is a bit more physical when we're coming up against the low blocks and we need someone that is just a battering ram that has got silky
100%.
skills. And Morgan Gibbs White for me, I think would be ideal.
I love that.
Ideal
I love that.
picture
And he
for
wouldn't
that
be
one.
super expensive either, I don't think. 40,
Uh, f-
45,
what
50
did Tottenham try to
max?
get him? I think Tottenham tried to get him for 50, and if they approached it in the right way, they probably would have
Yeah.
got it done. It
Okay.
was just they had obviously had a falling out
But
with the Muppet.
but this is the point. Is I listen to the conversation we're having right now. Yeah, we're
Mm,
talking about experienced Premier League players
yeah,
that are within a reasonable age range,
yeah,
that are young enough to be here for a couple of years and add to the squad, and they're not crazy signings that we're talking about to improve the team. So
yeah.
just to round off this conversation on experienced players,
Mm,
that's what we're talking about. Morgan Gibbs White, Van Heck.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? If we brought Jackson back, like that would be experienced there. The left
mm,
wing situation for me, I think, is the one where
the biggest one.
like yeah. The goalkeeper thing, I think it's just going to be Penders, isn't it? Let's be completely honest. Unless the manager who we get doesn't like him, I think that
Yeah.
was a big thing with Rosenior as well, wasn't it? Like Rosenior probably was really up for that next season. But yeah, we'll have to see. So let's quickly just go back through a couple of these. Omar, quality because our starters are gas. The levels drop when we have to depend on the bench for spark. So this has been such our bench, man.
Mm.
Our starting
Our
11 has
bench
been
is
woeful
horrendous.
recently. Absolutely awful. Like Garnacho is just so. I'm so sick of seeing him, and that's the problem in it is at the moment because we're having to start Liam Delap, then you've
Mm.
got to bring Mark Yu on, and it's just like, mate, what an absolute mess. So that's the thing. If we, the striker situation, I think could potentially already be sorted out. Do you know what I mean? There's talks about like Julian Alvarez and stuff. I think that might be a bridge too far.
Yeah.
But either way, I
I'd
think
take him, but I just
yeah,
the
yeah,
money that they're just not going to spend it as much as
no,
I'd
no,
love
it's
them.
like 100,
He would be
100
quality.
mil plus in it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and I agree with you. Like I think João Pedro has earned the right to be the starting striker next season.
Yeah.
Thames CFC. Best scenario for new manager is probably for us to get Conference League or no Europe, give the permanent manager time to work with the first team properly and have a stable 11. There's a really interesting permutation about this that hasn't been, I don't think, completely figured out yet. So the deadline, when you're a multi-club model, the deadline for basically, you're not allowed to have two clubs in the same competition. This is the reason that Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest had to swap competitions, and Palace went down to Conference and Nottingham Forest went up to Europa, regardless of Palace winning the FA Cup, because the guy that owned a part of Palace also
Mm.
owned part of Marseille, and they both got into the Europa League, so that wasn't allowed. There is a deadline of, I think it's March the 10th, that you have to announce that if you think two of your clubs are going to get into the same competition, you have to announce by March the 10th that you are going to hand off the running of the second club to a third party for that season.
Mm.
You're not allowed to. It reduces like the amount of player trading you can do. So you're only allowed to trade two players. Do you know what I mean? So you can
Mm.
basically like one each or whatever, or 2-1 or 2-1 or whatever. So the crazy thing that we're not even thinking about is Conference League could be a thing because of how bad, Callum McFarlane and, obviously we're in a bad place at the moment. But even if we get into the Conference League and Strasbourg get into the Conference League, only one of us are allowed to be in it.
They can have
So
it.
it's
They
kind of
can
what
have it.
it's kind of what I'm saying, man. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of what I'm saying. I think the Conference League only worked for us the first time we did it because we were able to have an A team and a B team. And
Yeah.
we did. We had 25. We had so many players in the squad. It was absolutely wild. We were able to have an A team and a B team. We can't do that now. Do you know what I mean? We want to
No.
be. We need to build a squad, not two squads, just because of the way the rules and regulations are at the moment. So I think we'd be better off without Conference League. And if us and Strasbourg were to get into the Conference League at the same time, I have a feeling that we probably let Strasbourg take it. What do you think, Kai?
I don't know, man, because they come out around the Strasbourg time when we were getting Liam saying they don't really care if they upset them. So Chelsea, from the sounds of it, will always be their priority. So they're gonna see. I know it's gonna be like no money, but it's a way to potentially get back into the Europa League, and if we don't get Champions League
Yeah.
next season, so I don't know. I don't unless that maybe for our luck, maybe they've had enough. They got fed up and they do decide to relinquish hold on Chelsea,
Yeah.
and I don't know.
Well, they can't. It's purely about like if they haven't already
Yeah,
by March,
might be
because
too
obviously
late
the
now, wouldn't it?
deadline's.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mean. The deadline's gone, and I don't think that we did that. So if we did both get into the Conference League, Blueco would have to choose which of the clubs were allowed to play in it, and I
yeah,
assume it would actually benefit everyone. It's not even about not upsetting Strasbourg. It's
yeah,
about it actually benefits Chelsea not to be in it next season.
yeah.
So
I don't
just
want
as
them.
a interesting permutation. I just thought that was something that was worth bringing up. Right, so Omar, Chelsea said they don't want Senesi. I imagine that's just because of that age thing, isn't it? But yeah, I think it'll be Van Heck that we go for, personally.
Yeah.
Man United, so this is something I thought about the other day. I love this. Man United got quality in Cunha and Mbermo and technically Sesko without Champions League football. They finished 15th last year, man. They finished 15th last year, and they got Cunha, really good Premier League player. They got Mbermo, really good Premier League player. The only thing, they had to pay him through the nose. The wages, like Mbermo's on like 300k a week. Do you know what I mean? It's wild, absolutely wild, and we're not going to do that. So,
and it's also possible. The teams that they are, like, especially for Cunha's thing, like he's come from a Wolves team that's now relegated. It's you're negotiating power. It's Man United versus Wolves, even Man United versus Brentford. We will have that summer power. But the problem being is we have had 4 years on display of this disaster, players falling out left, right. You know, all the other Premier League players will see what's going on at Chelsea. They'll see players falling out left, right, and centre. It's not a good look. So it makes the stance a little bit more difficult when you're negotiating. Which is it's the only worrying side is how it's gone and how it is continuing to go. How are they going to convince these players that this project is the right way? That is what's going to be difficult now, because there's enough evidence there to say that it's wrong.
That's the thing, isn't it? Another thing I think about, again, is not something that's talked about very much, is Moises Caicedo and Reece James signing new deals. And that will have come from assurances. Do you know what I mean? That things are going to change, because the guarantee to you, if they didn't assure Reece James that they were going to reinforce the squad with quality next season, he wouldn't have signed that deal, and neither would Moises Caicedo, I don't think, either, because they're both very attractive properties that would not struggle to find clubs, especially if they started running their contracts down. So like this, Omar, Jackson on the left wing with Quenda as understudy. And I do think that this is another thing about the Jackson thing. We never saw it under Maresca, and I do not understand why we didn't even try it, because when you watch how he played as a striker, he's always drifting out to the left. He did it under Pochettino. He did it under... He's comfortable as that... exactly. He's comfortable as that left forward, man. Do you know what I mean? And if we're playing a system where a Cucurella is creating the width and he's allowed to drift inside more, like, I think Nicholas Jackson could be... I would much rather see Nicholas Jackson on the left wing than Pedro Neto, Jamie Gittins, or Alejandro Garnacho.
The one thing... see, Jamie Gittins, I won't say too much because I've barely seen the kid. But the one thing I can say about all our wingers is none of them, apart from Esteval, he's not in this conversation, the others, they don't like taking players on. The amount of times yesterday, Pedro Neto got 1v1 with his defender and he turned back every single time, really, really pissed me off. Jackson is a head down and run. He will run at you all the time. Even if it's the wrong decision, he's still going to run at you. And that is something that you want from a winger. Esteval, another one, loves taking on a player. Garnacho, bless his heart. He tries. He falls over the ball. He falls over his own feet. He has no 1v1 ability whatsoever.
No, you're 100% right, man. You're 100% right. No, but Garnacho is just tragic, isn't it? I feel bad because he's only 21. Do you know what I mean? He is literally still so young, and there is obviously potential in there, but we haven't got time for potential in certain positions now, and I think left wing is one of them.
Yeah, and the problem for Garnacho, as harsh as it sounds, he's hated by every team. He is generally hated by this fan base. Yeah, he's getting it from every single angle all the time. You know, mentally, it's almost going to be for me. He needs to go overseas. He needs to get out. He needs to go out of the country. It's not all right, because no matter where he's going to go, Italy maybe.
I think he'd do well. I could see him at like an AC Milan or a Roma or something.
Napoli.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, join the all of the Scott McTominay and Kevin De Bruyne and all the old Premier League boys. That's not a bad shout. Right, so Thames CFC, due to Strasbourg. Look, I get it, but I just think the thing is, in the realism, we need to sell players. Mark Yu will get bought for 20 mil. Someone will pay 20 mil for
Champions League.
Yeah, we need exactly. Money. So we need liquid cash. Mark Yu is basically... We bought Mark Yu for 5 million. He's been with us. This is his 3rd season. His book value will literally be like 2 or 3 mil now. So if we sell him for 20 mil, that's almost pure profit. Do you know what I mean? So unfortunately, I just think because of that he goes. Coco Naib. I think if Iriola is taking the job, he's bringing Senese and Krupi Jr. It's actually not very common to see managers get jobs and go in for their old players. We've only seen it a few times, haven't we? Like I remember Sarri brought Jorginho over, and that was a bit like, it's always a thing that we talk about, isn't it? Like, oh, this guy knows how to work with this guy, but it doesn't really happen
did
very
it with
often, does
Dewsbury
it?
Hall.
Yeah.
It's players that have played under them that know the system to make it easier for the coach to establish their system, because they've got a player that they can use as a marker kind of thing. Most managers try to do it, try to bring in a player from the past, even if it's not a player that they might have had previously that's gone to other clubs, and then they go back in. I mean, what's his name? Did Mourinho bring in Fellaini? Or did he want Fellaini and then he just got lucky?
Fellaini. But
he wanted Fellaini everywhere, and then he didn't he have him at United?
No, yeah, he got him at United, but that was after us. Do you know what I mean? Fellaini was at Everton.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it was a player that he wanted the whole. But it's just in terms of players that managers build around.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just mean in terms of
Fellaini wasn't one. Yeah.
No, because Fellaini was at Everton under David Moyes and went straight to United. And I don't even think that was under Mourinho. I'm not sure that was even under Mourinho. I think
I'm not too sure, but I know he had it at one point. But
what a player.
There's certain players that they try and bring back. So I wouldn't be surprised. It would make sense.
Yeah. I think with Senese though, like he goes wherever he wants because he's on a free.
It's free.
Do you know what I mean? Creepy. I don't know a huge amount about. Don't know a huge amount about Krupi Jr. actually, so I couldn't really comment on that one. Do you know much about him?
He's having a good season again. I think he's quite young.
Where'd you play?
I'm not too sure. That's about again. Let's have a look.
I'll just bring up the next
19.
one. 19.
Yeah, quite young. He's a baby. Yeah.
We've already been linked to Saeed El Mala, who's
Etienne
like
Ferreira. Yeah, it's a good shout, Tim.
So I think someone from that midfield gets sacrificed. 6 CMs quite a bit, unless Barco is going to be emergency left back if Kuka gets sold and Hato starts.
Keep forgetting about Barco.
I like Barco a lot, man. I think I see good things from Barco. I think we've been missing a player. Barco to me seems like a better version of Conor Gallagher. Like, he's got that industriousness about him, but he's got more than that about him as well. Actually quite a creative player. Like, he gets assists and stuff, and he's versatile. I don't think Cucurella goes now, if I'm honest. I've got a feeling Cucurella will get a new deal as well.
I didn't feel at any point that Cucurella was on the verge of leaving. No, I think he was just riding the train of trying to make it change.
He needs to sign a new contract soon, though, doesn't he? Because we're in danger zone now. Because he's only got 2 years left, so that is the worry. But maybe now Caicedo's had one, maybe Cucurella gets one too.
I think it's going to depend on managers, really. I think, and how the season ends, like on these players. I do feel Enzo is gone. I think it don't matter what happens. I think he's gone. Just from how
someone comes in with the money for him, that's the thing, innit? Because we ain't losing money on him. Do you know what I mean?
No.
They'd rather keep him than sell him for less than 100 mil. Like, they will absolutely do that. They won't sell him unless they get the money. I don't think. But yeah, and Yorohato, I think Yorahato's proving that he's actually quite versatile. Like, I think Yorahato's done a really good job as centre back for the last few games. Yeah. So I think that Yorohato is now sort of becoming an understudy to Cucurella and Levi Colwill potentially next season as well, which I think is quite interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it was proven right, wasn't it? So,
well, I mean, yeah, it's just totally. I mean, you can't do that. You absolutely can't do that, can you? It's like, you've scored 18 goals, 19 goals this season, and this guy's scored 2, but you've been mean to him, so he's going to get to play and you're not.
Yeah.
Even though we desperately need every point we can get. Like, that'd be what that's not true. I really.
No, I think it was a thigh. They said something about a thigh, but again, that could just be.
Yeah,
a ruse. He actually said that was poop.
If he did say that, he ain't wrong.
No, he's exactly right. Yeah.
Daniel says, I'd rather play no European football next season because I don't want to play Conference League again. I actually think that we probably just won't, to be honest. I think that
Yeah.
it's, I think even if we end up in a Conference League spot, if Strasbourg get into it, I have a feeling that we'd basically let them take that because it looked like the right thing to do, but also it doesn't benefit
Yeah.
us to be in the Conference League. At this point, no one's going to care if we win the Conference League next season. It's a lot more games. It's a lot of travelling. Do you know what I mean? It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Omar. Big Steve might miss the World Cup. I feel for the kid. The world deserves to see him
I hope
ball.
not.
Yeah, I saw that today, man. That's a real shame. That's a real shame. It's actually good news for Chelsea fans, which is kind of sad to even think. But if we're just being brutal about it, a whole pre-season with our new manager, with potentially our most talented young player, and he'll be fit, ready, and energized for the start of next season. That's actually, I'm not happy he's injured because I 100% agree with you. Esteval's opportunity at 18 to be playing in Brazil's first team at the World Cup is wild, absolutely wild.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. But yeah, no, it is a shame. It is a shame. Rosenior had Andre and barely used him, so he did every single game for like the first 10 games.
Yeah, it was
And
surprising and just stopped.
do you know when it was? Do you remember there was that one game where Liam Rosenior came out at the end of the game and said not everyone was performing their like positional duties or their responsibilities.
Yeah, it was a defensive mix-up. It was a corner or something, wasn't it? And he wasn't marking somebody. Didn't say his name, but in the replay you could see it was him.
And for him to go from playing starting every game, not just playing, starting every single game, and then all of a sudden disappeared, I think that was probably part of that as well, which is wild because he was really good. Like, it just seems weird, doesn't it? You play amazing for 10 games and then you make one mistake and then you're out of the team. Like, that's crazy to me. Mourinho, Essien, and Ferreira.
That's who
What is that for?
yeah.
Like,
That's who brought.
Okay.
But
right, this is an interesting one. I guess we're getting a little bit off topic, but this is an interesting one. Guys, Palmer, how are we feeling about his form? Is it that worrying? He's seemingly back to full fitness. I am concerned about Cole Palmer, if I'm being completely honest. I think we are a good distance away from Pochettino Palmer now. And I know he's been injured, and I know that we've seen in spits and spats, but it wouldn't be the first time that a player's had one great season. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, he's nowhere near the levels. He's nowhere near the levels, but you can say that about every single player in this team.
Apart from João Pedro.
Yeah, but even he wasn't looking great prior to Rosenior. It's only recently, you know, he had a spell under Maresca, started well, disappeared, and then come back. You know, no player looks great, but Palmer, I don't know. There's something. He's lost his magic, mate. He's lost his magic. It could be a multitude of things. I don't think the chopping of changing. He clearly didn't fancy Maresca. He may have fancied Liam in the beginning, but it didn't stay long. That honeymoon period ended pretty fast. The chopping and changing, the fitness issues. There's multitudes. I also don't think there are many players currently within this squad, at least what we've got fit and available, that are on his wavelength.
Yeah, okay.
The amount of times I see in a game where he's making a run or he's looking for a pass and the players just aren't moving, or they're not releasing the ball at the right time, or they're getting in his way, and you can see the frustration on his face. There are very few players in this team that I think that can link up well with him, and naturally, you're only as good as the players around you.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the things. But when you've got a player like Palmer, because you can talk about like De Bruyne, you can put him into teams with weaker players and he'll make the players shine.
Yeah.
Palmer's not doing that at the moment, at least like he wasn't doing under Poch, because we were still crap then and he made us shine.
Is that because he's a tip of the spear rather than the handle? So Kevin De Bruyne was the handle when he Kevin De Bruyne makes it all happen,
because at times he still gets in the right positions, right? So most recently, go back to the PSG game, right, where the ball got played into the box. He had the chance, missed it, and they went up and scored. Now, a confidence, because confidence is a massive thing, especially for Palmer. I know he'd say he's nonchalant, he's cold Palmer in the day, nothing phases him. Confidence is key. The confidence ain't there. He doesn't do the things that he did before. So, with a bit of confidence instilled, could you see a change? Yeah, I still don't particularly think he's up to match fitness.
Yeah,
From
that's
what I
fair.
can see, I don't think
That's
I don't
fair.
think even to the sharpness levels, but that's not an excuse because he's not good enough. He's not
Would
been good enough at all for a long time.
would that be another positive about Nicholas Jackson coming back? Maybe because they linked up really well together, didn't they?
That's one of the things, you know. It's, I mean, even last season where he wasn't particularly great,
Mm-hmm.
he was still putting balls on the plate for Jackson. Like
Mm.
the reason his numbers weren't great was because
Yeah,
Jackson
because
weren't
Jackson kept
scoring them.
missing it.
If he put them away, his numbers would have been even better.
I
Um,
feel like if we take that goal scoring responsibility away from Jackson, as much as it is being the
mm.
striker, and you do put him out on the left wing, I just think we see something pretty crazy,
Palmer
man. I love
needs
the
Pa- Palmer needs
yeah
a striker that runs in behind,
yeah
not a
yeah.
striker
That's
that
true.
plays to feet. João Pedro at times they look good. They can link up pretty well in terms of wavelength. But João Pedro's not a striker that runs in behind. The reason Cole Palmer and Jackson work so well is Palmer can
Mm.
see those through balls. He's got the vision. Jackson's got the speed and the agility to get onto him. We don't have anybody like that. The only player that is slightly to that level in terms of agility and speed is Pedro Neto, but they have no chemistry, no link up whatsoever.
No.
I'm convinced they don't
I think
like
it's
each other. Just from how
I
they
think it's a left foot
act on the
thing as
pitch.
well, isn't
Yeah,
it? It's like left to left. I think it's more
yeah,
difficult than left to right. It's like Palmer's
mm,
linked up well with players that are right footed.
yeah,
And then obviously you got to think Pedro Neto, although they are different players, they also do occupy a lot of the same space
spaces. Yeah.
when given freedom.
Mm.
This is an interesting one. Who would you get to get the? Who do you think would get the best out of him? Who we're linked with? So managers that we're linked with to get the best out of Cole Palmer, or who do you
Mm.
think could come in and get a tune out of Palmer?
Yeah, well, you're going to need an attacking manager. That's why I think Nagelsmann would be perfect. It's a bit of more of attacking football. You can't have a defensive structured manager. I think even, we talk about Pep. Pep would not be good for Palmer, and he wasn't good for Palmer because he can shackle players. Palmer is a player that needs freedom with guidance, not structure.
Yeah,
Um, and like I said there, in terms of a player to play with, he needs a forward that runs in behind, not a forward that comes to feet.
I
Um,
think about how well Fabregas has done with Nico Paz,
mm,
and again for me, I think
yeah.
Fabregas would light a bit under Cole Palmer.
Mm.
So that'd be an interesting one. But I see what you're saying. I think Nagelsmann, I think would probably be the best option, but I just think that he's
Yeah,
not
it's not
interested.
it's not happening, but yeah, it needs
But no,
a
you
more of
are
an
right. You are right.
attacking minded coach
Yeah,
rather
yeah,
than
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
defensive mind. But obviously, with an attacking minded coach, you lose out on some of the defensive attributes, and it's another area that we're so terrible at. So yeah, the only way you look at it, score more goals, it won't matter. So
Yeah,
you know,
well, we score 0 goals.
yeah, yeah, can't get any worse, can it? Can't get
I
worse
can't
than
get any worse.
zero.
This is an interesting one. Staying on Cole Palmer, I think Palmer should skip the World Cup and rest. I also think that as a Chelsea fan, but I
As an
just don't
England
think he
fan,
will. I think not even as an England fan. I just
no,
think if he gets called up, like he takes it. Do you know
no.
what I mean? I just think he takes it.
It could
Um, and
also it could also go in a positive way. I know we're thinking he
mm,
needs rest, which most of our players do, but look
yeah,
at
because of
Cucurella.
form.
He was terrible,
Yeah, yeah,
and then he
yeah,
had an outstanding Euros, and then he was
yeah,
amazing after that.
yeah, yeah. That's true.
Palmer,
That's
it
true.
could do the same thing. He could go and have an absolutely outstanding World Cup and come back and look like he never left. So
It's
it can go the other way.
still kind of a shootout for the 10 as well, isn't it? To be completely
Yeah,
honest, as far as
no
England
one's
goes.
really
So
doing amazing in it.
if Cole Palmer has 2 or 3 good games at the end of the season, do you know what I mean? It's
Mm.
like that could be enough. Although at the moment, I guess Morgan Rogers is probably looking like the one, isn't he?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, even Morgan
okay.
Gibbs White, I think Foden's barely getting a lick in at City
Yeah,
anyway, so
no.
he's not probably on the.
Foden's getting brought on for Cherky in like the 70th minute in
Yeah,
City games. Do you know what I mean?
he's a baller,
Cherky's
Cherky.
so good, man. Cherky's
He's
so
a
good.
baller,
Oh,
man. And the
he's so
arrogance in
good.
him. Phew.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Cole Palmer
Yeah,
needs a bit more of that.
yeah.
Right, this is an interesting one from Tem. Even with Noni, Palmer would double up often on the right with him, you can see there's no chemistry between them. So that's reference to what you said about Pedro Neto. So yeah, with Palmer, he's such a maverick unicorn footballer, Cole Palmer, isn't he? And it's like you really need the pieces. You can't just be like, you can't use Palmer as a piece of your puzzle. You have to build your puzzle around Cole Palmer's qualities, and we've not been doing that. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's probably a big part of it as well. Yeah. We're going to start wrapping things up now. And I like this. New manager bouncing UCL for a positive end. Callum's at the wheel. maybe Callum McFarlane gets the best out of Cole Palmer. Can you imagine? It's like we're talking about, like, you know, what can happen at the end of the season. I do keep forgetting that Callum McFarlane is the manager. Oh, being a Chelsea fan is so wild, man. I got so into talking about players for and the team and that just then I completely forgot that the reason we're here is because Liam Rosenior has just been sacked. And Callum McFarlane.
Well, it's one of those, isn't it? I think that the biggest thing is we knew it was coming. It's not like it was an unexpected thing, like the Maresca thing, though not so unexpected. It was like a shock that it just happened. We knew this was coming. So how many ways do you want to spin it? Like, yeah, he's gone. Whatever. It's just become the norm now with this lot. So yeah. When does
there's one thing I want to wrap up with, right? I got an amazing comment on today's video, and I said to the guy, I'm going to read it out on my live stream. I'm not going to put it up. I'm just going to read it out. I'm going to drag it over here. So the guy is basically talking about, his name is Anthony Gutu162, and his comment is, in caps, how do you go from Thomas Tuchel to Liam Rosenior in the space of 4 years? And then he said, and I love the way he structured all this, since Blueco took over in 2022, Chelsea have gone through a whirlwind of managers. Thomas Tuchel, 4 months. Graham Potter, 7 months. Bruno Salter, caretaker, 4 days. Frank Lampard, interim, 2 months. Mauricio Pochettino, 11 months. Enzo Maresca, 18 months. Callum McFarlane, caretaker, 1 week. Liam Rosenior, 3.5 months. That's 8 different managers in just 4 years. From a Champions League winning coach to constant resets, short-term fixes and instability on the touchline, can any manager truly succeed under these conditions? I thought that was a great comment, man. Love that. Horrible, but also so
and when you put
really
the numbers like that, it's a joke. Like we talk about how Roman went through managers, which he did, but every manager that he went through, eventually the next manager brought some sort of kind of excess. So there was a method to the madness. There's no method to this madness. It's just madness. That's all it is. There ain't no method. And it's a circus that I didn't buy tickets for, and I don't want to attend anymore. I'm finished. Like, when do I get off this ride?
Yeah, and man, it's like, let me out. I don't want to be a Chelsea fan anymore.
Chained to my seat. Like, what's going on?
I mentioned this at the start. The nuance is really different. So weirdly, they're not super trigger happy in the grand scheme of things. The nuance, now what we are is worse. Do you know what I mean? Is like, so Roman Abramovich was driven by results and success, and he would sack people, even Ancelotti after winning the double or whatever. Do you know what I mean? In the tunnel, lost against Everton, you gone in the tunnel. He was trigger happy, and he would sack managers and bring the next one in for instant success. It was instant. He wanted instant success. There was no, you got time to build or whatever. I mean, he gave Frank Lampard 18 months or whatever it was, and then sacked him because it wasn't, you know, that was as much patience as he had for projects, essentially. What we have with Blueco is the opposite, the complete opposite. There's all, you know, for time, you know, they're all about time, and they're all about building the project and whatever. But of those managers, it's crazy how it's panned out. Obviously, a lot of them were interim. So Thomas Tuchel got sacked because of the event, the thing that happened. We don't know what that was. Do you know what I mean? So that was a little bit different from just being sacked because of results. He was sacked because of something that went on behind the scenes. Graham Potter got given 7 months, and that was well too many. Graham Potter should have got 3.5 months. Do you know what I mean? Graham Potter should have got 3.5 months. They backed him, and they didn't want to sack him, but they kept him and they backed him, and it didn't work, so they sacked him. Okay. Bruno Salter, interim. Frank Lampard, interim. Mauricio Pochettino, 1+1. It was never going to be long term.
Yeah, it was never permanent,
they split with mutual agreement at the end because of the nature of the deal. Enzo Maresca didn't get sacked. He walked away. without taking that big payout or whatever, because he didn't want to do it anymore. There wasn't like today. We've seen the thing come out saying Rosenior's resigned or Rosenior's walked away. It's like, no, we've terminated his deal, and because results haven't been good enough. Do you know what I mean? But with Maresca, it was like he's left, or it's mutual consent or whatever. So it is, the context is different to Roman, so they're actually less trigger happy than Roman. But the problem is they're created such an unsustainable environment that people can't even hack it. Like, think about Man United managers, Ten Hag and Amorim waited until they got sacked. They just kept turning up. They just kept losing. They just kept being awful. And they did it until they got sacked. And that takes character. Do you know what I mean? To keep turning up every day.
Yeah.
But we didn't even see that with we didn't even see that with our guys. They're literally just bouncing. They're like, it's not worth it.
No.
Keep your 14 mil. I'm not bothered, mate. I'm not bothered.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild. So a couple more comments and then we'll wrap up for the evening. CJ, the fact that we totally forgot about Liam is he proves he made zero impact on us as fans. Like, it's kind of true, isn't it? Unfortunately. Tem says, speaking of tickets, we're struggling to sell FA Cup tickets. I'm not hugely surprised, especially after the protest as well. Do you know what I mean? There's going to be a bit of a hangover from that with the match-going fans. And obviously, no one wants to go and watch us get battered by Leeds.
No.
And CJ, I'm dreading the Leeds game. I fear they might smoke us too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will, man. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, do I trust Callum McFarlane to get... Because we lost against Fulham, didn't we? I said we won in my video earlier, but I actually think we lost against Fulham when we had Callum, didn't we? And we got a draw against Man City. So do I trust Callum McFarlane to get a win against a resurgent Leeds in an FA Cup?
No sample size anyway.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's nothing.
So, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I think Europe is done. I think we might, if we're lucky, we get Europa League because we win the FA Cup or we manage to finish 7th or something. Do you know what I mean? If we're lucky, we'll get Europa League. If we end up in the Conference League, I think that there's an interesting permutation that I mentioned about Strasbourg earlier. But yeah, I think it's unlikely that we win the FA Cup. And I think all we've really got to look forward to now as Chelsea fans is next season. Do you know what I mean? Next season is basically, the season's already 100%. Over, essentially, isn't it? It's like, one more comment from Daniel. When do you think we'll get outcomes and when do you think we'll find out about who's going to be the next manager? 2 or 3 weeks. It's not going to happen quickly. I don't think. They will want to do, they've done this already. They did it with Graham Potter. They did it with Mauricio Pochettino. They did it with Enzo Maresca. The only reason that Liam Rosenior got hired so quickly in the space of that week was because we were in the middle of a season and we needed a manager. But the reason they've sacked Liam Rosenior now, rather than giving him to the end of the season, is so they can go and approach these managers and have, we've got a month until the end of the season, basically, haven't we? I imagine we'll hear in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I think. Yeah, Tim. So, nice one, guys. If there's anyone in that hasn't given us a like yet, give us a little clicky McClickerson, because we are just about to sign off. Loved it today, man. Really, really good. Loads of good discussion. It's been a minute since we've done this, but it's been great coming back. City going for a domestic treble now that they're top of the league. Are they top of the league now? Oh, yeah, because they played Burnley, didn't they? So they've smashed them then. And obviously, because they were only 1 point... It was like, it was goal. They were 1 behind Arsenal, 1 goal difference before, so they won 2-0.
Yeah, they won 1-0. 1-1-0. I think they're equal, but they've scored more goals. They've goals for is like 3 goals higher. So they.
You never see that, do you? That's a proper tight race. So Kai, Rosenior's gone. We can sleep well until Sunday when we inevitably get battered by Leeds. Do you have any parting words for our lovely viewers?
There is some light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully, somewhere. When you find it, let me know. But no, it was a good chat. It was good to vent. One thing that I love doing these things, man, is I can vent and just get it off your chest. Talk to all the people.
A little bit sometimes as well.
Yeah, But it's really good. It was really good, and no, I've enjoyed it, and we should do it more often. Definitely.
So, got a quick one here for Tem. Yeah, he says do it more often. So, me and Kai usually do a Thursday night segment called the Thursday Night Blues. But that's been my fault recently. I am in just about to. Well, I've been working with a band, and I'm just about to go into the studio and spend the next few weeks recording. And the internet where I'm at is not very good, so I'm going to be away for the next. Maybe we can do another one this week. Before I go, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe we can do a match preview or something. But for the next few weeks at least, I'm not going to be able to. But I promise you, in the summer, around World Cup time, and do you know what I mean, the transfer window, me and Kai will try and get back to a more, as long as Kai's available, we'll try and get back to a more regular screening. Thank you very much. Oh, everyone's so nice today, man. I love this. I love this. This has been, I think this has been our best one ever, in terms of views and stuff. So I'll be interested to see how it's turned out afterwards.
Yeah.
Guys, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. That's what Kai's got to tell us. I always think there's a light at the end of the tunnel because I'm a hopeless positive. I'm a hopeless romantic when it comes to Chelsea. And I always think it's going to be okay, even when it's not. Nice one, guys. Thank you all very much for sticking around until the end of the stream. When you did, we will catch up with you all very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.